Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and there's a lot going on right now in the competitive Call of Duty community. The first video of the day, we're going to continue talking about this roster chaos which just continued in great form last night, but also there was a major patch update which came in. What implications might that have for what the CDL looks like for Stage 4? We'll discuss that later today, but intrigued to take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that, and also thank you for 60,000 subscribers, another remarkable milestone. Honestly, the support on the channel lately has been absolutely out of control. Still, YouTube analytics likes to let me know that about 50% of you guys watching will not yet be subscribed to the channel. If every single one of you watching, who haven't yet subscribed, decided to smash the big red button, we'd probably hit 75k within just a few hours. But honestly, been incredible stuff. Let's keep on trucking towards 100k. Phenomenal milestones just around the corner as well. But yeah, let's dive in. First of all, this came out from Chrome yesterday. Zaptius potentially to the Paris Legion after leaving London. We'll have a look at that in a second. Alex and Afro back into the starting team, or at least Alex back into the starting team, Afro for the first time. Then we've got this whole Paris Legion strange situation where they were looking for a new fourth. Not exactly sure who their fourth is they're trying to replace. Maybe Temp according to an article that came out from Dece, but still somewhat unclear. Apparently they were targeting Saint, but he had a $25,000 buyout from the subliners, even though he's not actually a substitute, he's just an academy player. And they were like, okay, yeah, that's too much for us lads, unlucky. We're going to get Zaptius instead from the London team. And then we've got this whole bit. Decemate benched himself, ellipsis question mark, over at the Seattle search. We're going to dive into this in a second because that is one of the more remarkable things that we have seen so far this season. So certainly a lot to dive into here. And well, as Ben Sim says, kind of as a result of this stuff, or even before it, but well, certainly in light of these changes that are going on, no BS, this might be the worst set of roster moves that I have ever seen. So Royal Ravens confirmed yesterday Zaptius is departing from the team. He was there on like a 2-week contract or whatever. And look, I thought Zaptius certainly did his job on this team. This was really the only iteration of the London squad so far this season with poor like Zaptius, Zed and Shawnee that actually looked good and competitive. They beat New York in a Game 5. They took FaZe to Game 5 as well. So they've been looking pretty good, to be honest, so far. They had a decent run of the major, all things considered as well. But okay, they let Zaptius go. And look, I understand it. You're getting Afro in from the European region, one of the brightest talents, most promising talents of that region these last couple of seasons. Finally, he's got his visa sorted. He can get out to the States. That is certainly an option you want to go in that direction of. The other question to me is, though, the fact that Zed has been clearly removed off this team in place of Alex, and we'll have a look at that in a second, as Zaptius says, appreciate the opportunity I was given, only up from here. I'll be back in the CDL soon. ... Worm out there potentially be. We'll have a look at that in a second. But well, this is also what continues. So Dominator is coming back. So much strange stuff going on with London, man. It's tough to even explain. Dominator was like their assistant coach, who effectively got kicked as a coach a couple of weeks ago. And then you had all the players and their remaining coach Shane tweeting out like #4Dom, like they weren't happy with the organization's decision to get rid of him. And now he's back in the team. And then you've got Alex coming back over after these personal issues or whatever, despite not really having played Call of Duty, I imagine, in several months at this point. Despite the fact that Zed, who is clearly no longer going to be on this team, it seems, was actually playing really well. And I do feel bad for Zed, right? Because statistically, he was actually performing better than Alex was when Alex had his stint in the team earlier this season. So really strange. I can understand the Afro for Zaptius thing. At the end of the day, you want to get your talent over there because, I mean, that's what New York did with Hydra, and clearly it worked out for them. At the same time, do I think it's deserved for Zed to be benched off this team, given how good they looked the last couple of weeks? I think, well, I don't know. Maybe they'll keep him around and see what options lie ahead. But it's very strange that London looked good for a while, and all of a sudden they're making quite significant changes to their lineup. And as Zaptius says, as a result, what foreign languages you guys take in school? I took 3 years of French, so who knows exactly what's going to be going on here, but maybe Zaptius to the Paris Legion. I mean, I really don't know what they can do to improve their team, because Paris and Seattle right now are probably the two teams that I would have way down there in the D tier of power rankings. And speaking of Seattle, here we go. Let's dive into this then, because this is some of the more chaotic things that, well, I've really seen these last couple of years of competitive Call of Duty. Decemate comes in to this team just a couple of weeks ago in the middle of Stage 3, and there was all this talk about, okay, yeah, we're going to get Decemate, it's going to be great for our Search and Destroy, really going to revitalize this Seattle Surge team. And well, they went 0-3, I think, with Loony before they benched him during Stage 3. Then, of course, Decemate comes in, they go 0-3 with him as well. And we get this announcement that comes out from Seattle. The Seattle Surge and JT Decemate had to have decided to mutually part ways as we prepare to move forward into Stage 4 of the CDL season. We'd like to thank JT and wish him the best on his future endeavours. Surge player operations and coaching staff are working hard in order to recruit a replacement ahead of Stage 4. So, honestly, this is just absolutely incredible scenes. The announcement comes out from Decemate. Good luck to the boys on Seattle. Felt like I wasn't the piece that could fit in and get us the wins that everyone wanted. All absolute champions, etc., etc. Trying to maybe, save his reputation in a sense, because it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that Decemate, it seems, has effectively benched himself himself in this team. He thought, okay, this team is just it's not where it's at. We're not going to perform well. Yeah, I'd just prefer to go back to challengers and actually try and win some money down there in the challenger scene, whereas you're not going to maybe do too well on this Seattle squad. So crazy to see that that's even possible, really, that a player would think so poorly of how that organization has, well, the potential to do going forwards, that they just decide to straight up bench themselves off the team. And that is how it seems to me, right? Because Seattle said to that have a relevant replacement. It's not like they had someone ready to come in and therefore they bench Decemate. And yeah, certainly the comments from some of the players still on Seattle Surge go along a similar route right here, as Octane, well, tweets this out right here. And, then in reply to, of course, well, the Octane says later on that they're now looking for a fourth, right? Seattle need a new fourth on their team. Just shows what a disaster that is. I mean, obviously the Decemate pickup didn't work. And it's an interesting, well, from Decimate's perspective, I suppose, right? You get an opportunity on a pro team. You decide to just like dip from the team a couple of weeks later. Is that actually going to be better for him? Does that like preserve his stock a little bit more? But then at the same time, if I'm a CDL team looking at Decemate next season, I'm like, okay, if this guy doesn't think our team's good, he's just going to dip after like 3 series, even though maybe we had time to improve over time. Like, doesn't necessarily the best look from my perspective, but there is of course many decisions that go into this from a number of different angles. And well, as Octane says right here, you think he has an ego, needs to be able to take a loss or multiple, says Octane, because saying that clearly Decemate came into this team for a couple of weeks, decided, okay, it's not good enough, and I'm just going to dip straight out of the team without giving them the time to improve, I suppose. So really strange stuff. Of course, Decemate didn't exactly perform spectacularly. I think he wasn't exactly, particularly good in the respawns. In Search and Destroy, he had some good statistics, to be fair, which is where you'd think, okay, Seattle improving in the searches, that'd be a recipe for success, but clearly not the case. Their respawn was absolutely tragic, and Octane's been talking about writing this whole book that he's discussing, right? Like, after his career is over, the chaos that's been his career these last couple of years, especially on the Seattle Surge. Chapter 1, the CDL begins, may well indeed be the case. And as well, Prestinni says here in reply to Jake Lucky, like, one of those wasn't fired, right? Like, our player, Decemate, wasn't fired off the team. In fact, he actually decided to leave the squad voluntarily because it's just that much of a shambles right now. And as I say here, a team is chalked when the new recruit dips after 2 weeks instead of suffering the pain that is playing for the Seattle Surge. So what does Seattle even do right now? Obviously not a good look for their organization, not a good look for their team as it stands right now. And who could they even bring in to potentially fix this mess, right? Because, if Decemate is coming into the team and then leaving, our other challenger player going to think similar things. If John comes into the team, for example, is he going to think, all right, if maybe he just wants to stay? I think there was even some discussion the fact that some of those Easter guys, John, Jerd, and the guys in that team that could potentially fit in an SMG role on this squad would be like, okay, why would they join this team? Because they actually stand to make more money playing in the challenger scene anyway. So tough spot for Seattle. And of course, the question then was raised, who do Seattle get in place? And this was the man that came to attention. Censor. I heard Seattle Surge are looking for a sub-player for stage 4. Here he is, Doug Censor Martin, ready to get back in the league. And to some degree, I doubt the likelihood of this, but at the same time, if you're Seattle, the chance of you making champs anyway is very slim. And I think Seattle would gain so many fans overnight that it would be so great for the scene if Doug actually came into that team for a bit. Can you imagine the viewership on some of those early games? I mean, the memes would be spectacular. Imagine Seattle versus Atlanta FaZe or something, and Doug just comes out there and you 180 world stars Simp. That would be a clip that, we'd see talked about for years to come. And well, as Octane says, need title suggestions, about to make this a series. Let's talk about my new teams. I think more changes are certainly coming around the corner for this Seattle Surge lineup. And he tweets this as well. This is kind of the classic tweet that Call of Duty would see, several years ago, when before events people would be like, okay, yeah, myself, Prestinni, Gunless, looking for one for the next event, 18 plus main sub, no ego, maybe some more shots at Decemate right there. And can travel as well to get to these events that they need to go to. And as well, Doug Censor Martin says right here, we're ticking all the boxes. And Octane goes, let's run it. And Censor follows up in a second with it's happening, implying that maybe something is going on here, some discussions are being had. I somehow doubt the chances that this actually does come to fruition, but who knows, right? At this point, if you're Seattle, why not just give Doug a chance? It certainly would be good for us to watch as fans. I think it is time. Doug Censor Martin has been called to the game. Now, the other side of things really is some of these other players that were talked about trying to get to Seattle. Vivid was a discussion quite a while ago. Octane said, I'm pretty sure when they picked up Decemate, they tried to get Vivid, but Seattle and LAG couldn't come to an arrangement. I don't think LAG would really want to get rid of Vivid right now because he's potentially an important piece for them going forwards if they decide to move into that direction. At the same time, does Seattle really want to pay enough money to actually get him out of his contract? That is another question as well. But Vivid probably sitting here on the bench thinking, okay, hang on a second, I could be great for this Seattle squad, but clearly the opportunity just isn't arising for him. And well, the team isn't giving him that shout as well. But Decemate isn't happening, as he says right here. It is happening. Look, I don't know if this is actually going to go through or not. I don't know if discussions are even going on. I think Octane said on stream last night, because he threw the stream up for a little bit, that there is some discussions with other players that they're kind of, well, they have an idea of who they want to get as their fourth. Of course, you're always going to be able to get someone to go to the Pro League, but it's just kind of funny that some of these top challenger players, with the exception of Doug, of course, are actually maybe don't even want to join Seattle Surge right now, given what a shambles that they are in. But all I'm saying is it would be incredibly entertaining if Doug could find his way back into the Pro League in this format. And I just think as fans that we would certainly love to see it happening. Also then, just to mention this, so the Easter team, that of course being Sib, John, Jerd, and Gravity, was scrimming up against the London Royal Ravens last night. So Afro playing from the UK, I believe by, hopefully by the time Stage 4 begins in about 8 or so days' time, he'll be able to get out to the States and be playing in the States with this team. And that, of course, is pretty exciting stuff. And it's unfortunate in a way that Afro's got his visa and, clearly Zero hasn't got the opportunity to be able to do so or whatever. Of course, I'm not really sure how Zero would even fit into this lineup right now with, the way the ARs are working, especially with Paul X looking very good as of late as well. And Shawnee kind of being the rock that is holding this team together, it seems at times. And also, this is kind of incredible. Talking about all the roster mania stuff that's happened. Rambo, because of course, Seattle don't have a substitute, right? Like, Joey Nubsy is their sub, so they can't bring in a sub very easily. And it's interesting in a way that Seattle clearly a shambles. Dallas Empire are very much in a similar position in a way. They don't have a substitute anymore. They did have FeLo, then they brought FeLo in for Huke, and they got rid of Huke pretty quickly, because, I'm sure they got a lot of money in return, but they don't have a substitute. So technically, Rambo, their coach, is now listed as their substitute player. That makes him their coach, general manager, and substitute, oldest player in the league, technically. Now, of course, well, if you're Dallas, you've got to figure something out pretty quick, right? Because Rambo's never going to come into your starting team. Joey Nubsy's never going to come into your starting team over at Seattle, so they've really got to figure things out. It's kind of interesting to look at the world champions find themselves, in effect, in a pretty similar shambolic spot to where the Seattle Surge sit right now. But intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Chaos going on right now behind the scenes. Who will Seattle Surge get as a replacement? Who do you think should come in as their fourth? Should it be Decemate? Do they just say at this point, all right, let's just give it a go, lads? And, well, the discussion has been there on the timeline. I think, well, it's about time that Doug gets his spot back in the Pro League. But intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thanks for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.